based on the artists you love. And hear over 100 extra channels filled with ad-free music for every mood or occasion. Get your first 6 months of our Platinum plan for only $8.33 per month, plus fees and taxes. Just call 844-711-8800 to take advantage of this amazing offer.
Quiet your mind, reduce your stress, and rest easy with channels designed to help you fall asleep easier and faster. In the SiriusXM app, sink into the comforting white noise of the storm shower on Rainfall Radio. Fade out to the soothing sounds of the Sleep Channel, or drift off to the nature sounds with Forest Dreams. Find them all in the SiriusXM app, included with all trials and popular plans. Just search Sleep.
Get the SiriusXM app and listen on your phone when you get out of the car. Anywhere you take your phone, you can take Howard Stern, NFL Radio, and commercial-free music channels from nearly every genre. Channels vary by subscription plan. You never have to miss your favorite SiriusXM programs or commercial-free music. Find the SiriusXM app in the App Store or call 844-711-8800 or visit SiriusXM.com/app to find out more.
This is where former latchkey kids come to get their 90s grunge kicks. Unlocking a decade's worth of commercial-free alternative rock. SiriusXM Lithium. To listen to Lithium, activate your radio now. Call 844-711-8800 or head to SiriusXM.com/go to sign up quickly.
You deserve the best. With the SiriusXM Platinum VIP plan, you can unlock the ultimate listening experience in up to 2 cars and stream anywhere with 2 app logins. Enjoy our greatest content, opportunities for live VIP experiences, and prioritized customer care. Plus, get access to over 5,000 audio and video concert recordings through nugs.net. Call 844-711-8800 and become a VIP. Offer details apply. Not available in Canada.
Just to hear you and your words of encouragement really helped me to get through those tough times. I'm so grateful that you're on the radio.
I am so blessed by your messages.
To hear Joel Osteen Radio, activate your radio now. Call 844-711-8800 or go to SiriusXM.com/go. Sign up quickly.
In mind and just find a way to win.
It's the final week of the NFL regular season, and playoff hopes are on the line.
They're winning at home, and now the playoff chances still live.
Who advances? Who goes home? We're previewing all the key matchups and playoff scenarios right now on NFL Radio Channel 88.
They're already in playoff mode as their season is on the line.
As the drama plays out, hear every game with the hometown announcers on your radio and on the SiriusXM app.
There you go now.
I think I'm recording.
Oh, let's see. There you go now.
I think I'm recording.
Oh, let's see.
If you've been thinking about buying a home, you need to be in the zone, the home buying zone. You need a game plan to win in this great real estate market. The Big C team at Equity Zone Mortgage has all your bases covered. Whether you're a first-time home buyer, purchasing your dream home, refinancing, consolidating debt, or even considering a reverse mortgage, contact the Big C team at Equity Zone Mortgage today. They have the lowest closing costs, and they'll close your loan on time, guaranteed, or they'll pay your first mortgage payment. And they even have a 3.5% purchase down payment grant that can get you into a home with little money out of your pocket. It doesn't get more clutch than that, folks. Score big on the biggest purchase of your life. Call Equity Zone Mortgage today at 1-800-772-8624. That's 1-800-772-8624. Or apply online at equityzonemortgage.com and tell them Big C sent you, as heard on the Big C Sports Podcast. License number 018148868.
Amazing moments happen so much at SiriusXM. We want you to see them. SiriusXM Video lets you watch your favorite SiriusXM shows on the SiriusXM app. Groundbreaking interviews, amazing in-show moments, behind-the-scenes footage, live performances, all come to life in a way you only imagined before. Plus, you can create your own personalized Pandora station based on the artists you love. and hear over 100 extra channels filled with ad-free music for every mood or occasion. Get your first 6 months of our Platinum plan for only $8.33 per month, plus fees and taxes. Just call 844-711-8800 to take advantage of this amazing offer.
Rondo Deportes, Bonjour, Vidi Vidi Vici. Let's get ready to rumble. Welcome to the show. My name is Jonathan of Big C Sports. This is Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to me, and people who love reparations, and that should include you. What a beautiful day, January the 3rd, 2023. Today's show is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. When you go by and test drive yours, tell them sit ya where the good Lord split you, if that makes sense to you. As well as driving the fleet of Cadillac cars, you can follow Big C Sports on 29 podcast platforms: Google, Alexa, Spotify, Speaker Podcast, Apple Podcasts, Good Podcast, TuneIn Podcast, Amazon Podcast, iHeartRadio Podcast, Castbox Podcast, and Deezer Podcast, Podcast Addict. You ever been an addict to anything? Podchaser, Geo Podcast out of London, England, as well as India and Africa. Podtail, YouTube, Hubhopper, Stitcher Podcast, Radio Line, Peapod Podcast, Luminary Podcast, Listen Notes, Podcast Wise, Podbay, Verbal Podcast, Podcast Policy, Podcast Republic, and one that used to scare me but not doesn't. It's called allfeeds.ai. That means the robots are taking over. Give the robots some praise, because when they take over, we're gonna hope they don't know how to turn us off. But I had a programmer. He was working on a robot turn-off switch, and sometimes people want to trade in everything for the new robotic cars. People want electric cars, so gasoline cars are in trouble. People want electric flashlights, so they don't have to plug a lamp into the wall. And now people want electric heaters, so they can just do like this and clap their hands, and the heater turns on. You clap it again, the heater turns off. And now they're working on electric people. So if you're not happy with the man that Santa brought you for Christmas, all you gotta do is turn him off. Well, hold on, ladies. If you're not happy with the woman that Santa Claus bought you for Christmas, all you gotta do is turn her off. It works both ways. And unfortunately for the men and the women, all you need to have a good man or a good woman is a good battery. Give a good battery some praise. I don't know if I like the new world. What's wrong with the old way, where your woman had blood running through her veins and the man had blood running through his veins? Now it's like you got to have an electric current. Oh, sometimes the old-fashioned way is the best. I want to say you can follow Big C Sports Podcast, and I love saying it all around the world. I love paying homage to our Veterans Crisis Hotline. They really are experienced, helping veterans and their loved ones get help. You know, anybody going through issues, pick up the phone and call 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255. Or you can text 838-255. That's 838-255. If you're online, simply go to veteranscrisisline.net. That's veteranscrisisline.net. And when you do, you want to give us some praise, because we all need somebody to lean on. What are you gonna do when a robot is out with you on a walking in the rain? In the rain comes, they're gonna short out that robot. Men don't get shorted out walking through the rain, and ladies don't get shorted out walking through the rain. But those robots, you can't trust them when the rain comes. That makes sense to you. But what you can trust is on Big C Sports. I always produce the show. I direct the topics. Number 3, I broadcast all the shows. Number 4, I do all the sound effects based on the platform provided by the agency. We can all use more laughter and robots in our lives, so that makes sense to you. The commercials are done. The stats are provided. The storytelling. I even do the play-by-play. 49ers up to the line of scrimmage, 1st and 10 from the 50-yard lines. 4 wideouts. 5-man front by the Ravens. The snap. Purdy rolling back to his right. Rolling. He throws downfield. It is caught. Caught for the touchdown. Touchdown! 49ers, Deebo Samuel, 50 yards. And that may be a preview of Super Bowl 58 in beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada, if that makes sense to you. And then after the show, it goes out to 29 podcast platforms out of New York City. And I'm in Dimdale Hills, California. And then I never missed a show. It's amazing since starting Big C Sports back in 2015 at Salem Media. And then, of course, it goes out to 4 TV platform streaming as well. I really do appreciate that. What I want to say about Big C Sports is it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Have a lot of great things going on in life. Have some conversations with some professional athletes that are wanting to do business with the Big C team, the Big C Real Estate show that I'm going to start up at the end of January, helping people get their living trust in order and also their wills in order. And also, of course, if you know anybody that needs work, I'm looking to bring on at least 1,000 people to join the Big C team. If you're looking for work, 800-772-8624, 800-772-8624. That's 800-772-8624. And when you call in, just say that Big C sent you, referred by Big C Sports. I'm telling you, for those of you that want to know that there's something called Xfinity Comcast TV and Comcast Spotlight Effect TV. And I want to thank them for presenting Big C Sports to the universe. Just like in Genesis 1:3, where God said, reparations now, reparations forever. And then he said, let there be light. Some of my Catholic friends, they don't appreciate when I don't know my Bible. I had a pastor, I believe with a pastor said that they really do appreciate Pastor. He's a good man. And he said, Charlton, I wanna tell you something. You know I love you. And I just want to give you some good teaching here. I said, yes, sir, Pastor. How can I help you? I can use some good teaching. He said, I've listened to your program. I like your program. I love your energy. You talk about reparations and sports, and I love that. But you don't know your Bible, because I went to Genesis 1 verse 3, and you keep saying that God is talking about reparations. And I said, that's what my Bible says. He said, when God said, let there be light. I said, well, light is reparations. Give that some praise. Some people say literal, but now he understands it's not blasphemy. God said, let there be light. Just like God said, reparations now, reparations forever. That's the mantra for this year for the presidential election. And I can't wait to see it. There's a lot of things happening in the world of sports, and I really do appreciate it. But I also want to say thank you to T-Mobile, America's largest 5G network, proud sponsors of Big C Sports. If that makes sense to you, I want to thank PNC Private Bank, proud sponsors of Big C Sports. I won $6 million, and I'm going to get it too. Big C Sports, when I launch my real estate show, it's going to go out on all my platforms all over the world, and I'm simply looking for the top real estate brokers and insurance brokers that want to commerce and do business. Will have a call-in line. It's only going to be a 30-minute show, so you got to get to the point. I talk fast, I think fast, but I type slow. It's a talk show, and it's just to showcase some business opportunities for people in business, part of the Big C team. You know, banks are not really lending the way they used to, and commercial real estate sometimes is up, sometimes is down. But with the Big C team, if you're looking for work, 800-772-8624, 800-772-8624. And the show goes all around the world, but right now I can only do loans in the United States and Canada. We even have an alternative business loan that can be approved in less than an hour. And 4 months bank statements, $5,000 minimum monthly revenue, 6 months in business. We specialize in unsecured working capital, up to $5 million, no collateral, early payoff discounts, and can fund in as little as a day. Give that some praise. If that makes sense to you, just 800-772-8624, 800-772-8624, 800-772-8624, and I'll get you hooked up with the Big C team. You want to give that some praise. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it, if that makes sense to you. I also want to say, because I love so much about sports and reparations, I want to number one thank everyone. I want to thank every country that has been growing the numbers for Big C Sports Podcast. In Africa, in the United Kingdom, in Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Japan, Australia, and of course the United States and Canada, as well as Mexico. I want to give you some praise because I'm one beautiful, intelligent black man. If I don't do the show, then those robots that I'm thinking about buying is going to do the show. And you know what happens if his battery's not plugged in? He makes all him sick. This is my robot introduction. It's called. I'm gonna do the show. Nobody likes that. Maybe R2D2. We're trying to work on my robot. Sometimes he got wet in the rain. When I was walking in the rain, he got wet, and he's like. That artificial intelligence, ChatGPT. No, when you get them wet, those computers don't work the same. I know I've tried it on my own, but I do want to know what works the same as the California Reparations Task Force. I'm the only sports show in the universe that pays homage to them the way you should too. They say, how many licks does it take to get to the center of a lollipop? Well, that depends on how big your tongue is. Yeah, how big is your tongue? Give us a praise if you got a big tongue. Not as many licks as you think. A small tongue, it might take 2 months. But a big tongue, it might take 1 day to get to the center of the lollipop. Oh, God, I know I'm talking myself. But I do, as I digress, I want to make sure that I... Blame it on the rain, people. Blame it on the rain. But I want to also pay homage as I'm licking my lollipop. I want to pay homage to the California Reparations Task Force because a mind is a terrible thing to waste. That's what I heard growing up. I'm sticking to it. I want to thank the chair, Camila Moore. She's the chair. She's brilliant. She specializes in reparative justice. I want to thank Dr. Amos C. Brown, the vice chair, is brilliant. I want to thank the #1 senator in the United States of America. That's California Senator Stephen Bradford. He's brilliant. He's also the one who sponsored Name, Image, and Likeness that helps college athletes get paid. He also sponsored the Ebony Alert that helps law enforcement put the same amount of resources into finding black children as they put in the Amber Alert in finding white children. And he's also part of the California Reparations Task Force. You got to give us a praise. He put forth the bill AB 490. I'm going to talk about that also. Senator Stephen Bradford going to be meeting with this officer soon. Also want to thank Council Member Monica Montgomery Stepper. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise. I want to give praise to Assembly Member Reginald Jones Sawyer because she's brilliant and I love giving him praise. I want to give praise to Dr. Shell Grills because she's brilliant. I love giving her praise. I want to give praise to her attorney, Lisa Holder. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise. I want to give praise to Dr. Javon Scott Lewis, professor at California Berkeley. I love giving him praise. And I want to give praise to our attorney, Donald K. Tamaki, part of the California Reparations Task Force. I want to give him praise. And I've spoken with all of them. Give them all praise, even got those with them, if that makes sense to you, at the Secretary of State. That because it's so important. Because it's just like going to see a movie. You get all excited. You stand in line. They call it Black Friday. I said Black Friday. Why do they call it Black Friday? I thought it was a day for me and other black people to go shopping. But then I realized they call it Black Friday because you're out of the red, you're in the black. But to me, it's an oxymoron. How's taking money out of my wallet, put it in your cash register, make me in the black? You gotta pay attention to what they say. They say the stores are having Black Friday, not you. If that makes sense to you. But the Reparations Task Force, the last one in California was June 29, 2023 at 9 o'clock a.m. at the March Fung Yu Secretary of State building. It's in Sacramento, California. And I remember Shirley Weber was there speaking. A lot of other people that I just mentioned in the task force, they were speaking. And then there was a one beautiful, intelligent black man that has a sports podcast that still pays homage to him. His name is Big C. Get us some praise. Because a lot of people have forgotten that it's even there. It's a shame how many black Americans I've talked to that are college educated that don't even know what they're talking about reparations. Where do you get that information? They're talking about reparations. But they can tell you about the color purple. Can't tell you about reparations. That's about them. But they can tell you about the color purple that they're trying to put in the black, if that makes sense to you. I want to thank This Is CNN, proud sponsors of Big C Sports Podcast. Give that some praise. Give it praise. You know, so many people get together and they decide what they can do to make life better, and not only for them, but for their families. And I'm so grateful of the meeting that I had today with a pastor that even knew my parents before I was born. And he knew my grandfather. The pastor, Eugene, he actually attended the church that my granddaddy built. And he talked about how good my family is. You come from good seed. When a man of the cloth looks you in the eye and says you come from good seed, I know your parents growing up before you were born. I want to give that some praise because he didn't have to say that. And I just appreciate it, how God lines things up. And he said, I'm so proud of you, Charlton. You're doing what God has led you to do. You're more than just a sports show. That you're doing things that actually help people. And sometimes I don't even know how God elevated me to where I am. It's just through praise. I didn't send in a resume for the things that are happening now that have been laid out with some politicians at the highest level in California, even with the Governor Gavin Newsom's office. I'm a sports guy, but I also praise God. I don't put no man, no woman over God. Some men can be sneaky and cunning. Some women can be sneaky and cunning. They will look you right in the eye and say, I didn't do that. And you know they're lying because your spirit tells you. And God knows, so you just give God praise and you keep going forward. I don't want to change for nobody. But you got to understand when God speaks to you, listen to it. And God will put clues around you, and you got to listen. And that's what I'm doing. I only praise God. I don't praise nobody. People come and go, and people full of shenanigans. And sometimes God will reveal when they're up to shenanigans. But I want to say, even the country can be up to shenanigans because politicians, right now, there are a lot of politicians. You know how you want to get ready for the race? You want to run a marathon or for football, basketball, baseball season. I've played all. You get ready for training. You got to go out and get in shape. You can't just get up out of bed eating donuts and ice cream and say you're going to run the 100-yard dash or the 100-meter dash. You can't just go up and down the court if you're not in shape. You got to get in shape for it. So politicians, they understand that. Politicians, they love getting in shape this time of year. Well, what do you mean politicians getting in shape, Big C? Well, I tell you, they're going to start coming around asking for your vote. There's some stuff going on throughout the country where they're trying to bar a former POTUS from running for a presidency. You know, because they say there's something called an insurrection. Insurrection? What's insurrection, Big C? Google it. But there are things going on in politics where there are many politicians. They want to know who won the game, but not the football, basketball, or baseball game. They want to know where they stand in the polling. They want to know where they stand in the polling place. And ironically, there's a lot of politicians, they think that the black vote is so needed that they will do whatever they can to get the black vote from us. I think they call it Black Friday, if that makes sense to you. But they do so much to try to get the black vote because they assume the white society is going to vote how they vote. They have a Pew Research and they do all the polling of whoever they poll, and they try to be pretty accurate, but they don't poll me, so they can't be all that accurate. But they understand the black vote is like the golden nugget. Everybody wants it. The black vote is like a suntan. Everybody wants a suntan! Especially this time of year. You know when someone takes their shirt off and they go, ooh, I'm usually not this whatever they are. People come in all hues of color, but all that began on the African continent according to Dr. Lee King Regormindo. And I know that. And you know it too when you Google it. If you don't know how to read, Google it. Where did all life start? At the same time, this is so important because Dr. Leakey, when he was looking for the origin of man, he went to Europe, but he didn't stay long. Considered the world's foremost paleontologist. He traced the origin of man back to Africa, to the womb of a black woman. Think about that. When you think about where did all life come from, and people want to know, well, there's a scientist by the name of Gregor Mendel, considered the world's foremost genetic scientist. He was looking for the origin of man. And he opined that dark skin is dominant. He also opined that light skin is recessive. He said you can get the recessive from the dominant gene, but you cannot get the dominant gene from the recessive. What does all this gene talk have to do with the election, Big C? Because the politicians are going to go around looking for the dominant gene because they want to have the dominant vote. they want to have the dominant number of votes, and they're going to start looking for the black vote. If they just passed a law in California where law enforcement has to tell you why they pull you over if they pull you over. And oftentimes, if you ever been pulled over, and I have more times than I should have been because I've never been arrested. But oftentimes I say, do you know why I pulled you over? And as your heart's beating and you're starting to sweat a little bit, you're saying, well, just be calm, keep your hands on the steering wheel. You say, officer, no, I don't know why you pulled me over. Why did you pull me over? They're trying to tell you that anything you say can and will be held against you in a court of law. Now they got to tell you why they pulled you over. But, so what does that mean? What does that mean, Big C? Even law enforcement opine that black Americans, the dominant DNA, 9-series DNA, the dominant gene, they have done their own research and they pull over black Americans many more times than they pull over white Americans. But that's not legal, Big C. Exactly. And would you believe that they say they find a crime that's been committed more often by white citizens than they do black citizens? You can Google the story. It just came out on the news this week, and this is just New Year's. But they pull over black drivers at a higher rate than they do white drivers. At the same time, they say when they pull over white drivers, they're more likely to find someone who's broken the law. Why is that? Because oftentimes they think they get away with it. I'm not exonerating anybody. I'm just saying it's so prevalent they have to change the law to say you got to tell somebody why you pull them over. Well, what's that got to do with the sports show, Big C? It has everything to do with the sports show. And it has everything to do with the political season. Because now, mark my words, you already know it's true. When it's time to build a sports team, they start with the black athletes first. Ask every college that's out there trying to recruit for a team to play for a conference or national championship. Look at all the bowl games over the weekend. Most of those kids are black. For Texas, Washington, Michigan, Alabama, most of those kids are black kids. Just oppose that to the coaches. Most of the coaches are Caucasian coaches because they're looking for the next Caucasian coach, and they're always looking for the next black athlete for the most part. And you know that's true. And I'm telling you now, coming up for the vote, they're going to give me some praise for that. I'm telling you the truth. If you can't Google what I say, then don't believe me. I'm telling you the truth. And now that the political season's here, they're going to start catering to the black vote. The same vote that's ignored for the most of the year until political season shows up, because that's usually the swing vote. And it's a swing vote, like a child at a playground on a swing. It goes back and forth. It's not a monolithic vote. But I'm telling you right now, the rumor and the tsunami that I'm hearing about intelligent people is no reparations, no vote. That means that the election's up for grabs. President Biden, he right now has a ball in his hand. If you remember the Super Bowl where Seattle was on the 1-yard line, they had the best running back in the NFL. His name was Beast Mode. And all they had to do was hand the ball off to Beast Mode. He was averaging 5 yards a carry, and they would have won the Super Bowl. But Russell Wilson decided to pass it. And the ball was intercepted by Malcolm Little. And you got to realize that. Up to the line of scrimmage, second down and goal, 1-yard line, goal line stand by the New England Patriots, Seattle. I set formation. Russell Williams back to his pass. He passed it. He's intercepted. Intercepted at the goal line. I don't believe what I just saw. Intercepted. He had beast mode in the backfield. Why not get with the ball? I guess he didn't want to win. And they lost that Super Bowl. And they've been sleepless in Seattle ever since. And President Biden's in the same situation. He has the best play to help him get reelected. It's called the black vote. You'll see him coming out, President Obama, Michelle Obama, President Obama, First Lady Michelle Obama. They'll have Senator Raphael Warnock out of Georgia. They'll have everybody they can get. They'll have Oprah coming out. They have all of our politicians coming out, entertainers. You know, all the people that came out to support Color Purple. They'll have them come out and say why you should vote for Joe Biden. They'll have Clyburn out there again. But if they don't talk reparations, the word I hear, you're not getting the vote. I don't care what color you are. And black Americans, even President Obama, he said that reparations would be good for the country. It will stimulate the economy. Talk about Black Friday. You put the money in the hands of black consumers, they normally go back and give it right back to a community that don't look like them. Historically, that's the case. But it's more than just about money. It's about annuities. It's about land, property, health care, free tax, no taxes, free college education, long-term care. All those things are great. Yeah, money's necessary too, between $1 million and $3 million per Californian. That's going to happen. But there also needs to be free education, no taxes paid for as long as black Americans were held slaves. You got to get the land. We need land, housing, free housing, all the stuff the country robbed us of and robbed our ancestry from. Oh, they ain't going to do that, Big C. They already did it for white people. What do you mean by that, Big C? The Homestead Act of 1862 and 1863, they gave over 276 million acres of land for free to white people and even white Europeans. In fact, it was more than that. I heard on Dr. Claude Anderson's show. I gotta Google to get that number right because I know it's a lot more than 276 million. But even in 1865, they created Freedmen's Bank, March 3rd, 1865, for freed slaves to put the money in the bank because the white banks wouldn't take the black people's money. They appointed 50 trustees to watch the bank. They were all white. Now, the black people could put their money in the bank, but they could not get a loan to buy a house. They could not get a loan to buy a business. They could not get the loan to pay for a college education. It was for white people to invest. And they stole the money! And they never gave it back. So don't tell me they can't do things for black Americans. They've been doing it for white people for years. Even in the sports world. They had segregated football, segregated baseball, segregated basketball. They did a lot of that stuff, and they excluded black Americans. With the school districts, when they started this forced integration, it forced black kids to go to white schools where they were treated like crap. And that meant that a lot of black teachers were out of a job. And they had to use segregation now, segregation forever. That was Governor Wallace down in the South. They forced kids to go to schools, integrated schools, where they were hated by the teachers and the student body. And it forced a lot of black schools to not get any funding from the federal government. And it forced a lot of black teachers out of work. People know the story. So why are you talking about that story, Big C, on this sports show? I'm talking about it because I'm telling you the election's coming. And you're going to start seeing the politicians show a lot of love for the black vote. Not necessarily for black people, but for the black vote. The best way you show love for the black vote is what President Abraham Lincoln told us. When President Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves, ended slavery through the Emancipation Proclamation and the 13th Amendment, he gave reparations to the white slave owners for lost free labor. And next in line, he was going to give reparations to the black folks, 40 acres and a mule. And we know President Abraham Lincoln was assassinated. President Andrew Johnson came along and he vetoed the bill. And he gave the land back to the Southern Confederates. You know, the people that lost the war. But it was black Americans, black soldiers that helped the Union win the Civil War. President Lincoln told them, if you help me win the war, then I'll grant you your freedoms. And it never happened. They got free, but they never got the reparations. And so right now, we landed this seminal moment where no president, not one, since the 16th president of the United States of America, has granted reparations through executive order. They haven't done it. They've only recently began to talk about it. Harry Truman implemented a health care program through Medicare for seniors. And it took 20 years to get through. President Lyndon Baines Johnson signed it into law with civil rights, just after civil rights. It was 1966. Civil rights was passed in 64. So the point I'm making is President Joe Biden right now, he has the same hand that signed the crime bill that destroyed a lot of black families. And he knows he did it. He even issued an apology for signing it. He and President Bill Clinton. But they're going to be out asking you to vote for President Biden. Especially they're going to ask the black society, the black community. It's not a monolithic group. But they're going to ask. And what President Biden all he has to do is sign Executive Order 13985 in the law. 00 sent it to me, Executive Order 13985 on further advancing racial equity and support for the underserved communities through the federal government. That's called the White House. As you're standing in line For the color purple, they're trying to pass reparations. It's just our major players in Hollywood want to talk about it. Not that they have to, but they talk about things that don't help the black community. Why not give it equal time? Talk about things that do help the black community. Senator Marco Rubio and Rick Scott, they reintroduced in the Congress last year. It's called Bill to Restore Holocaust Survivors' Rights. We need the same thing for descendants of black Americans, descendants of child of slavery. Georgetown's pledged over $1 billion in reparations to 272 families. That's good. But that's not as much money as the LA Dodgers paid for 2 baseball players from Japan to join the Dodgers, over $1 billion. Double O also sent me the information on the United Nations, says strong political leadership and strong political will are crucial to ensure reparatory justice for people of African descent. That's the United Nations report. So these things are on the drawing board. In fact, it's right now with the legislature in California. Everybody has their own thoughts on how things get done. It's just, I want to play one more thing before I get into sports, because it's so important. And to me, it's more important than a lot of things that we watch. We want to watch the game. Who's going to win the national championship between Michigan and Washington? Who's going to win the home field advantage in the AFC and the NFC? Right now, it's the 49ers in the NFC and the Baltimore Ravens in the AFC. But I want to play something that can make more sense to everybody listening. I'm going to take what's called the Big C pause, also known as the Big C timeout, and I'll be back in just a moment. All right, back to the Big C pause. I'm going to play something you can hear with your own ears. It's about the reparations bill that Senator Stephen Bradford has introduced, and it's more important than the color purple. But I want you to hear it with your own 2 ears and tell me what's important to you and what's important to black Americans. It's got to be known. And I'm going to play it right now coming up.
Stephen Bradford describes his legislation, SB 490. It is the first reparations-related bill introduced in the legislature since the State Reparations Task Force submitted its final 1,000-plus page recommendations report to the governor and lawmakers earlier this summer.
The reparations.
Among the task force's recommendations, a call for the state to create what's known as the California American Freedman Affairs Agency, said to be in charge of one day overseeing and administering reparations to descendants of black American slaves.
In order to implement the reparations, whatever it looks like, you need a governmental agency or some type of oversight department to do so. So that's what this bill will do. Before you can even talk about what reparations look like, you have to put the infrastructure there.
As for what reparations will look like, lawmakers and the governor still need to hammer that out. But the Reparations Task Force received a lot of attention for its recommendation that the legislature consider what it described as down payments to go to descendants of anyone who was a black American slave, as well as those in the black community whose ancestors arrived before 1900. At one point, the proposal suggested if descendants meet a certain criteria for the wrongs they've endured, coupled with the amount of time they've lived in California, then they could be eligible for up to $1.2 million. But Bradford, himself a member of the task force, downplayed that, saying reparations are about much more than any dollar amount.
I think we lose the focus of what we're talking about if we only focus on money. Again, this was not about money. It was about, first a recognition of a debt that is owed to these descendants.
What he says that could look like?
It's many ways to compensate folks outside of a cash payment. We can have continued education. We can have ongoing health care, free health care, tax relief.
As for the end goal for slave descendants?
To make a difference and have an impact on those individuals' lives.
Now, as for the timeline, Bradford says he ideally wants to see the proposed new state agency up and running before he's termed out of the legislature in 2024. And as for the governor, well, he says he supports reparations in principle, but needs more time to review the task force recommendations.
Is that something, you only hear that on Big C Sports. You won't hear it on any other sports program. That's so powerful. That's so important that you hear that, because if you don't have people telling you that, then people won't listen to it. I don't know what it means to everybody, but I do know what it means to me. It means that life for people of color, it needs the help of the government, the same way the government went against us for so many years. And it doesn't matter what people think, if they're for you or against you. I just want to make sure that we get that point across. It has to happen. We all know it has to happen, and it's going to happen sometime soon. And that's my story, and I'm going to give that some praise if that makes sense to you. Now, I'm also back from the Big C pause. I want to play something else that people consider important in the black community. And you tell me what's more important to the people of color and also this country.
You have The Color Purple. These are some of the executive producers. These are some of the actors and actresses that are a part of this big old enterprise. And I looked at the press tour that they went on for The Color Purple. The press tour was so massive that you had Oprah Winfrey walking into theaters. You had Fantasia, everybody going different places saying, hey, check out this movie, check out this movie. What if we had that same support regarding reparations? What if we had the same energy toward reparations as we did going to see The Color Purple? What if we had a legend like Quincy Jones advocating for reparations? What if we had a legend like Oprah Winfrey advocating for reparations? But for some reason, America believes that we are just people who want to be entertained.
Now, that came out just this last week. And Big C Sports, I want to give praise to what you just heard on the Big C Sports podcast. That's why I tell you Big C Sports podcast is the #1 sports show in the universe. I want to get into a little bit of sports too, because I'm asking our sports league, especially our African American athletes and our white athletes too, to stand behind the California Reparations Task Force. The same way you can stand in line for a movie ticket. Movies cost $15 a ticket. Some places $17 a ticket, $10 for popcorn, and then $5 for a bottle of water. The Reparations Rally Task Force was free. They did not charge for admissions. It's so important that things happen. It's not just me. It's a seminal moment in our country to make some wrong things right for a change. I want to give making wrong things right for a change some praise. You know, there's so many times when people who do good deeds, they go unnoticed. Now, there's always shenanigans in people's lives. Sometimes relationships have shenanigans. People lie and deceive people that they should just be honest with. Same thing in business. Someone lies and deceits when they should just be honest and say what they really want. But some people, they'd rather be full of crap than to be straight up. And that's okay, too. And politicians are the same. But I want to ask you a question before I get into sports. Anybody listening, especially if you're well-read and you believe in liberty and justice for all, is it more important to society, especially the African-American society, that we go see more movies at the box office where we don't even own the movie theaters and don't even own the production and are not the producers of these programs, even though we may be actors or actresses in the movies? But you know it's much more difficult for a black actor to get a movie role than a white actor, especially when it comes to winning an award. Hashtag Oscar so white, people complain about that. But where are those black actors and actresses when it comes to reparations? There's a lot of people that complain that Angela Bassett did not win an award for Wakanda Forever. There are people who complain that Denzel Washington did not win an award for Malcolm X. There are people that complain about whatever they complain about. But where are our talented Hollywood actors and actresses when it comes to reparations now? Reparations forever! Those people have a much more household name than Big C Sports does. But I'm taking what God gave me and trying to benefit not only my children, myself, my ancestry, grandparents, great-grandparents, great-great-grandparents, but all of our talented Hollywood actors and actresses, many of them have children, many of them have parents, grandparents, great-grandparents. Why won't they put the same kind of passion into reparations now, reparations forever, as they put into a movie? Why not do both? I cover sports and politics, and my show is growing by leaps and bounds. Out of 250,000 podcasts, I'm in the top 1%. And that's just on one platform. I'm one beautiful, intelligent black man. Do the math. In the top 1% of 250,000. I'm one beautiful, intelligent black man, but because I speak the truth. And everything I say is factual. If you can't Google what I tell you, don't believe me. But you know it's going to benefit the society too, because reparations will stimulate the economy. The same way the Marshall Plan stimulated Europe after the war. United States helped rebuild Europe. The GI Bill helped white soldiers coming home from the war. Reparations matters. It helped Japanese Americans. It helped our Native Americans. It helped dependents, heirs of the Holocaust. It helps people. We don't need to keep treating black Americans like we don't exist. We are the dominant genetic group on the planet. 9 series DNA, scientifically proven. Dr. Leakey Gregor Mendel, they opined all life came from Africa. Why are we running away from that as a country? And to prove, before I get into sports, the black vote is the most sought-after vote in the universe of the United States elections. Most people vote similar votes. And that's just I just want to give that some praise. Senator Stephen Bradford talking about that, the reparations bill. It's already in the legislature, and many people don't even know it. But they'll buy advanced ticket sales for Color Purple. I'm not knocking Color Purple, but I want to see every one of those actors in Color Purple support this beautiful, intelligent black man and California Senator Stephen Bradford that's pushing for reparations for your children and you to pay homage to what happened to our ancestry. Same way our brethren push for Holocaust survivors' rights. It's so important. And I want to make sure that Big C Sports makes a difference. I don't shuck and jive. I'm not a sycophant, not in any way. Am I always accurate? I do the best I can by doing my own fact check. I fact check myself. How many sports broadcasters tell you to fact check what they're saying? I take a lie detector test every day. I ask you to give me the lie detector test. By fact check what I'm telling you. In fact, I'm working with some scientists to put a lie detector test in relationships. You want to ask your partner if they're lying? Don't ask them nothing. Just have them take the lie detector test. If they're telling you a lie, may lightning strike. And it's going to be a popular seller. How many people are willing to take it? I take it every day on my program. I take it every day on the Big C Sports Podcast. I ask everything I say is factual. You could Google it. How many people do that? Nobody but me. What if everybody did that? What if you could give a lie detector test to your spouse or your boyfriend or girlfriend and see if they're lying to you? May lightning strike! Because some people wouldn't want to take that test. I take it every day on my show. That's my story and I'm taking it with it. Yeah, that's the praise. Well, now, as we stand up for the kickoff, I want to get into Big C's NFL power rankings because, oh my God, I just had another epiphany. You know, the NFL is the most popular sports league in the United States. You know, the majority of men that make up the NFL, is it 3 Big C? No, I'm not talking about the coaches. The men, the percentage of men that make up the NFL, they're black coaches. That's not true. I want to make sure you're listening. They're black athletes. The coaches are majority white. You can Google it. The NFL is about 75% black athletes. Why does that matter, Big C? I just told you, it's the most popular and wealthiest sports league in the United States. You know why? Because of black men. Those same black men, I'm asking you to stand up as you stand up for the kickoff. Start telling your coaches and Commissioner Roger Goodell, you want to champion reparations for descendants of child slavery. That's the people that you look at in the mirror. That's your child. That's your parent, many of you. That's your grandparents, many of you. They're beautiful brown people. But historically, the country has treated us like crap. And now you have a beautiful, intelligent black man in California, Senator Stephen Bradford, that wants to make it liberty and justice for all. And we're so busy standing up for the kickoff. President Abraham Lincoln is the only president to offer reparations to descendants of child slavery. President Biden said he wants to study it, but if he don't pass it, he's not getting reelected. You can ride that train all you want. People are too smart now. You promised Executive Order 13985. Where's the money? Since signing that first day in office, Executive Order 13985 that I just read to you earlier in the program, President Zelensky's got over $100 billion NFL Power Rankings, Week 18. I'm telling you, I'm going to do Big C's top 10. My show has, I just so much in my spirit. I don't believe in shucking and jiving. So I'm just going to give you some thoughts on the teams that are in Big C's top 10 for NFL Power Rankings. And you can do what you want with the information, but it's the holidays, and I do love NFL football. But I'm also asking NFL football to champion reparations the same way you champion watch me play. Watch me play. Watch me score touchdowns! And stand up for the kickoff. Because people want to support reparations. If you don't believe it, then you believe that white people are evil. If you don't believe that you should talk about supporting reparations because you're afraid of what white people think, you're admitting that you think white people are evil. And I don't think all white people are evil. They benefited from racism, yes, that's without a doubt. But there's over 173 endorsers of H.R. 40 by Representative Sheila Jackson Lee. And most of them are white that are pro-reparations. So you can't tell me that you think that white people won't vote or won't like you. Most of the people that are voting for reparations, they are Caucasian. So what's your excuse now? Governor Hockey in New York, Governor Newsom in California, from sea to shining sea. What's your excuse, black men? Number 10 in Big C's NFL Power Rankings, I got the Los Angeles Rams. They're climbing that hill the way a Ram does, and they are 9-7 on the season, and they are right there knocking on the door of a playoff spot, a wild card it will be, but they're right there knocking on that door for that playoff spot. I got number 9 in Big C's NFL Power Rankings, and I'm asking the Philadelphia Eagles to champion reparations. We got end racism on the back of your end zones. Let's step it up. Put 2 feet in! I don't see many people that go swimming with 1 foot in the pool. Philadelphia Eagles, after beating the Bills in overtime in Week 12, the Eagles, they were at 10-1, and they've been sliding. The Eagles been flying a little bit lower lately, but they're still in a good spot for the playoffs. The NFC champion from last year, they will not be the NFC champion. Well, let me not speak too soon. They won't have home field advantage, if that makes sense to you. I got number 8 in Big C's NFL Power Rankings. I got the Kansas City Chiefs. They're 10-6 on the season, defending Super Bowl champions. When they get into the playoffs, they may be able to turn it up or not, but I'm not really sure. Right now, the Chiefs are not consistent. I know I'm not blaming anybody. They added celebrities to the mix. And, I mean, whatever it is, Eric Bieniemy is no longer the offensive coordinator. And when he was, they were in the AFC Championship game 5 years in a row. But now he's not there, and who knows if they'll get there this year. All's fair in love and war. I want to go number 7 in Big C's NFL Power Rankings. Cleveland, this is for you. They are 11-5. They are capable of making a deep run in the playoffs. I'm telling you, they got to make the cut first. But they are a dominant team. Their defense travels very well, if that makes sense to you. I got number 6 in Big C's NFL Power Rankings. Got the Buffalo Bills. The past 2 weeks have provided evidence that the Bills are who we thought they are. You want to crowd them. They're a dominant football team, and as long as they have the Bills Mafia behind them to stand behind them loud and proud, I think they're going to be okay in the playoffs. Number 5 in Big C's NFL Power Rankings. I have the Detroit Bad Boys. That's not the Bad Boys, Big C. Oh, that's right. The Detroit Lions. They're 11-5. And right now they felt that they dealt with some shenanigans and some menagerie down in Texas. If they would have beaten the Cowboys, they'd have a shot at playing for the NFC's top seed. But, you know, they're down in Texas where menagerie goes on and shenanigans happen often, if that makes sense to you. I got number 4 in Big C's NFL Power Rankings. It's my story, and I'm going to stick with it. How about those Cowboys? Got the Dallas Cowboys. They put Jimmy Johnson in the Ring of Honor. They played a good game against the Lions, which was important, even if it came down to menagerie and shenanigans in the end. Because the people in Detroit, they feel they need some Pepto-Bismol after what the Cowboys did to them or the officials did to them. And to me, all's fair in love and war. That's all I'll say about that. They're number 4 in Big C's NFL Power Rankings. Number 4 in Big C's NFL Power Rankings. It's a bird. It's a plane. No. It's a dolphin. It's Flipper, the Miami Dolphins. They are 11-5. The Dolphins were demolished by the Ravens, but you would expect that if a dolphin fought a raven on dry land. So Miami, this is a team that put 70 points up one time in the regular season. But at the same time, you got to tell me that's a team with so much speed, they can be in the thick of it no matter what happens. You got to keep an eye on the Miami Dolphins. They have a lot of speed. They have Tua Tagovailoa, and he's going to play well in the playoffs. We will see. It's not the Notre Dame defense from the 72 Dolphins, but they're a good team, and that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. I got number 2 in Big C's NFL Power Rankings. I'm asking this team to do their best in beautiful Denver Hills, California. They wrapped up the NFC top seed, the San Francisco 49ers, but I would love to see them be the champion of reparations. Of reparations now, reparations forever. Because if any city can champion reparations in California, it's the same state that has reparations, a bill in the state legislature. That's the San Francisco 49ers. If you can't champion something in your own backyard, bang, bang, Niner gang, then where can we get it championed? In the state capital of Sacramento. The Bay Area and Northern California team is the 49ers. The Raiders went down to Las Vegas. All's fair in love and war. But this team, the 49ers, they're a dominant football team. I know they were beaten up by the Ravens. They had 5 turnovers. That won't happen if they meet again. But the 49ers, they got to stay healthy. They have the number 1 seed in the NFC, and they're building an additional week's lag time to get right by having a home field bye in the week 1. They've been running on fumes a bit on the defense. Christian McCaffrey could use a good spa day, and that defensive front with Bosa and Armstead has to get healthier, and then Chase, they got to just get better. Warner at the linebacker, maybe the best middle linebacker in the NFL. And Shanahan, obviously, he comes from coaching pedigree with his father that helped Denver win 2 Super Bowls. But I like the Bang Bang Niner games from Denver Hill. They're the number 1 seed in the NFC. I got Big C's number 1 team in the NFL Power Rankings. I got this a bird. Is a play. No, I'm a Superman. I'm going to have Lamar Jackson as the NFL MVP of the AFC's number 1 seed, the Baltimore Ravens. They are at 13-3. And when you think about it, this team, the Baltimore Ravens, they've already knocked out nearly everybody they played. They knocked out Jacksonville. They knocked out the 49ers on the road. And they came back home and they knocked out the Miami Dolphins. So will they rest the final week of the season and have 2 weeks off for the playoffs? That might prove to be a mistake because you got to stay healthy. But when you have Superman Lamar Jackson and he's a run-pass option, there were so many pundits that wanted Lamar Jackson when he came out of Louisville to play defensive back or wide receiver because they had not seen Superman without his cape. His cape is called an NFL uniform. And the man is just amazing. He reminds me of Michael Vick. He can run. He can pass. He makes good decisions. He doesn't turn the ball over a lot. And he's very humble. And he signed his own contract. Well, that's Big C's thoughts. I still want them to chant reparations now, reparations forever. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. And I love doing Big C Sports Podcast. I want people to get ready to vote. Vote for people who vote for reparations. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Well, as I always tell you, on every Big C Sports show, if you're going to drink, don't drive. If you're going to drive, don't drink. Because mothers against drunk drivers are mad. And fathers against drunk drivers are mad. It's one of the easiest things not to do. You can call Uber, you can call Lyft, you can walk it off, you can sleep it off, but don't let someone you love get behind the wheel of a car and start driving after they've been drinking. The life you say may be your own or someone you love. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Well, what about what do you always say to close the show, Big C? I want to say for everyone that follows Big C Sports all around the universe, I thank you, I appreciate you, and I hope that you have a super fantastic day. But Big C, you didn't think Jubal Diddy Brown. Oh, that's right. Back in the day, there's a man known by the name of Jubal Diddy Brown. He was known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, you float like a butterfly, and you sting like a bee. Rumble, young man, rumble. He said, with all you got to use, how can you lose? Ali said, I'm so pretty, I can't possibly be beat. Every time I listen to Big C Sports, I want to say reparations now, reparations forever. And then I float like a butterfly, and then I sting like a bee. That's my story. I'm sticking with it. My beautiful mother always says there's never, ever an excuse for racism. or domestic violence. No man, woman, or child should ever have to go through that garbage on their own. If you know any man, woman, or child going through that garbage, pick up the phone and call 911. Because no man, woman, or child should ever have somebody put their hands on you. Let them see how it feels when police show up. People change their tune if that makes sense to you. That's my story and I'm sticking with it. What about President Abraham Lincoln, Big C? Give me a chance, I'll get to it. Well, as I always tell you back my popular demand, every politician, listen now or forever hold your peace. What did President Abraham Lincoln tell us? He says sign reparations now, sign reparations forever. You gotta say it louder like your team depends on you to win the game. What did President Abraham Lincoln tell all of our politicians and President Biden to do? He says sign reparations now, sign reparations forever. Let's say it one more time as if you really, really mean it. What did President Abraham Lincoln tell us to do? He says sign reparations now, sign reparations forever. I thank you, I appreciate you, and I hope that you have a super fantastic day.